All right, here we go. Welcome to our season recap of the Falcon and Winter Soldier. Uh, the series is now over, unfortunately, um, but we did get a nice recap, behind the scenes kind of video that they released on Assembled. So we're going to talk about that briefly and just give our overall thoughts on the season and where we think the characters are going to go moving forward. So joining me across the pond, Boggs, how's it going?
Yeah, all good. Thanks. Happy to do this recap with you guys and girls. And yeah, all good. I did very much like the series. Didn't hit the landing totally on last episode. I thought it was a good series, not a great one. But yes, overall, very much enjoyed it.
I think you like this better than WandaVision, I think,
Yeah, I've
right?
probably not mentioned it, but yeah, I didn't really, wasn't too fond of One Division until the last episode. This was the other way around. So, but yes,
Oh,
definitely feel like it was better than One Division. I did, yeah. I mean, One Division final episode, it stuck the landing. Obviously, still a lot of questions, but overall, did tie up the series. I felt, to be fair, but this was solid all the way through to the last episode, I'd say.
so you don't like WandaVision?
Overall, no. Like
Yeah.
I'm
So I
almost
want to
definitely
clarify,
never gonna watch it again. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
just
So
for
I'll be clear
Like
next
we
time.
didn't know
I'll be
this
clear.
before.
No,
Never.
not mentioned
I don't,
so
Boggs has never mentioned it once before.
I
sorry
don't
guys.
think so.
I'll make it
That's
clear
why I
next
was
time.
just wanted to clarify. He didn't
That's
like
fair.
WandaVision.
That's
Okay.
fair. Yeah.
So how's it going?
Going to get. I was gonna say Boggs took it right, my words right out of my mouth. But the first part of what he said is that good show, not great. Didn't stick the landing for me in the last episode. I've had a week to think about it, and for most of the time I was with Boggs of like, this is better than WandaVision. And then I said last week, it's not better than WandaVision because it didn't stick the landing. And I said WandaVision's better. Dom Toretto out there. I
Yeah,
think
he's
it's
on a bike today.
probably he's on a bike today. I think I'm probably gonna equal it out because I did like the ending of WandaVision, but I liked more of everything up to the ending. But the ending hit better than this ending for me. And so it's kind of like I'm equating these. These are equal to me. They're on equal ground.
Interesting. That I don't know where I sit with it. Which is
By the way, we
better?
don't have to put one above the other. I
Right,
know that's something
exactly.
that
Yeah, we
I
don't have
say.
to.
Like, they're
Because
just
I
two different
like
things.
both. I will say I think going forward, I think Falcon and Winter Soldier set more things up going forward for the future. I think WandaVision did a better job of telling a complete story of Wanda and Vision, and obviously this is going to directly tie into Doctor Strange 2, but there's more of a direct line for me for Falcon and Winter Soldier of like, all right, this is kind of the path it looks like they're going on with Wanda. Who the hell knows what she's gonna do? I mean, we kind of have an idea, but she could do whatever the hell she wants now. And then we don't know what Vision's gonna do, and we don't know, like, there's a lot of things we don't know. I think with Falcon and Winter Soldier we have a much better idea. So in that sense, I like them for different reasons. So I'm not
Yeah.
gonna say one is better than the other. I will say the last episode I enjoyed of WandaVision, I'm with Boggs. I enjoyed the last episode of WandaVision more than I enjoyed the last episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier. That I will agree with. But let's just go around. What are your favorite moments of the series? So let's start with your favorite moment of the series, or favorite
Every
character as well.
everything with Isaiah Bradley. Every single moment with Isaiah Bradley. Carl Lemley deserves an Emmy, deserves all the awards. Isaiah Bradley deserves all the things of what they did to him in this universe. So yeah, every moment with him, that was my favorite. I just it spoke on so many levels, and I was just like, this is what this show is. It's these two black men having a conversation about what it means to be Captain America, and each of them leaving with different viewpoints on it, and that being okay.
Yeah, I mean Isaiah Bradley was great. I echo that. I think any time around he definitely deserves a a nod for sure. Um, Will he get it? I don't. It's hard to say, but he definitely deserves one for sure. Boggs, favorite character or moment for you?
Yeah, by far it's Bucky, my favorite character. Seeing his additional, like just his getting the opportunity to show his full acting range, or part, even just part of his acting range. Sebastian Stan's in this. Well, he hasn't really had the opportunity to do that massively. It's been more action based. A lot of his face covered a lot of the time in his previous iterations of the Winter Soldier. So seeing him, get more dialogue and more scenes and stuff. So I do like, like some of the Isaiah scenes, even not even the dialogue one, just the one that I think he throws like an ashtray or something into the wall. That was just like, whoa, that did put so many thoughts in my head. Like, oh my God, like what's he been through? How many missions has he been on? Like, I want to see him in his prime. Just so many, like, quick.
We needed
like
that flashback.
In my own, in my own
Yes.
head. I was envisioning it. Because he knew Bucky and Cap, he said previously. So, like, I wonder how that encounters must be, that kind of stuff. So, we spoke.
Well, he
spoke
ran into Bucky. He didn't
flashback.
run into Cap. He ran into Bucky.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So they would have been cool. And but no, probably my favorite moment. It's more the subtle ones. So I think it was the second episode where, Bucky speaks to the older guy in the bar, and just him trying to be a normal guy. And then earlier in the episode, you see him being the Winter Soldier back in the day, killing his son. And then just him going on the date, asking the girl out, just having a fun time with the old guy in the bar. I just was like, and then him kind of waking up early in the episode, sleeping rough on the floor in his apartment and stuff. And then I think he went to therapy in that episode as well. Just seeing the whole kind of, like fly on the wall thing of Bucky, and seeing his whole conflicted character that he is, and then him trying to find his kind of stability throughout the episode and stuff. So, and kind of Sam and his family bringing him that a little bit. So I just like seeing Bucky, and because the whole time throughout, through the day, speaking to the old man, he's hiding stuff, and we know he's hiding stuff, and he's also being really funny throughout it as well. So just the subtle kind of jokes, and then when he does meet with Sam, he's kind of clashing with him. So just kind of them early episodes, I was like, wow, this guy's like, he's such a cool actor, and he's so funny. So yeah, they were my favorite parts probably of the whole series.
I agree with Bugs. Bucky's my favorite in the show.
Yeah, Bucky, I mean, just to kind of see like where we introduced him, when he got introduced in First Avenger to now, he's made a great progression from like Bucky to Winter Soldier, kind of back to Bucky. It's been a great journey to be on, but for me, I love Sam's journey throughout this. If we look at when the show first started, or even if you want to go back to Winter Soldier when we first met him, to see his progression of like once he got the shield at the end of Endgame, and he's like, oh, this doesn't, it feels like someone else's, and then it kind of said in the back and behind the scenes thing that's kind of the catalyst of the show was that line. That was like the starting point. So going off that, just seeing like him kind of slowly get comfortable with the idea of becoming Captain America, and the fact that he was able to take on that mantle and not be shy of why it took him this long to accept it. And Isaiah Bradley, once he found out that, I think helped him along his journey. And I love the conversations, the two that obviously the two of them had, and with Eli being there too. So you kind of see 3 generations of potential heroes there. Hopefully Eli gets the opportunity down the road. But Sam's journey throughout this, because not only did he take on the mantle, which was great, which they changed on Twitter. If you go to Captain America on Twitter, it's now Sam, not Steve, which was very appropriate. Just the fact that we got to meet his sister, which was great. We got to meet his nephews and see him playing around that. I love when the kid is like touching the shield at the end. I love that. So and again, what the great things that these series have done and probably will continue to do is we get to learn more about these characters that the movies didn't spend a lot of time on. We got to learn more about Wanda and Vision. In this, we got to learn more about Sam and Bucky, even Zemo. So the idea that Sharon Carter too, yeah, absolutely, who's the power broker now. The shows are doing a great job of putting a spotlight on these characters and giving the actors a lot more of more room to explore these characters and give them different dimensions. Especially, you mentioned Sharon Carter. She's barely been in it, but she made an impact in the material that she was given. But now the possibilities, and I guess we can go into this conversation of where we think these characters are going to go forward. Her being the power broker, I'm hoping and praying that she's not a Skrull. I know some people want that. I hope she isn't one. Only because if she's a Skrull, that just seems very lazy. Like, oh, all this wasn't really her. So then they could probably either they're gonna say then she died or that she's been captured or whatever. I find it way more interesting if she would just really she faked her own death. She wasn't Blip. She's been around for the whole 7 years and she became the power broker. She became bitter and twisted. That to me sounds way more interesting of a journey to see what they would do with it if she's not a Skrull. And I'm hoping she's not one. That to me, if you're going to make her the power broker, actually do something with it. Let her actually be Sharon Carter and be the power broker. So I'm fascinated. What do you guys think about Sharon Carter being the power broker, Bogz?
Yeah, her being the power broker in the first place, I didn't love it because you could see it from the first episode that she was in. So it wasn't a surprise that she was the power broker. How they go with it now, I agree with what you said that she did I thought she made enough of an impact in the kind of Captain America trilogy. And then for this, I think her character trends. I think for me, it felt like the same character. Like you could see, she kind of pretended to live in an apartment next to Steve Rogers, acting kind of mysterious. Was she on kind of Shield side? Was she on Cap side? Or was she with Nick Fury? And then her kind of, having a thing with Steve Rogers as well. So, and then coming into this series, I felt like it was the same character. Like you couldn't kind of trust which side she was on totally, even though she was kind of acting, working with Bucky and Sam. But I just felt like it was the same character. So yeah, for me, if they change her to a Skrull, I'd be a bit confused. Yeah, because where's she been? And obviously, if they would have done that, if they are going to do that, they will obviously address was she blipped or not and stuff. So I would be a bit confused, but overall, I don't particularly mind, to be honest. Even if they did, I'd be like, okay, sure. I felt like I said she's the same character, but if they change it, that's fine. I'm cool with that. I'm more invested in other characters, but from what I've seen of her, I think it's her. I don't think she's a Skrull, but we'll see.
So, what do you think?
Well, you guys heard my theory last week. Although watching this behind the scene things, I think my theory is kind of kaput, but I don't like that she's the power broker, but they did it. So now I'm just waiting to see what they do with it. I wouldn't like her to be a Skrull. I just hope that they make a reveal that I didn't like, and then they end up making it that I like it later. Because what the Marvel Cinematic Universe has done is they've made old movies where we've been like, or parts that we've been like, and then they make it more important. Because it wasn't until Endgame that we were like, oh, the second Thor movie was actually pretty important. They make that movie a little bit better, even though you go back and watch it, you're like, still not the best movie, but you view it in a different context now, knowing what you know with Endgame. So I think that hopefully they make me view it in a different context going forward.
I agree. But I just prefer that they actually they're on this path, to stick with it. Another good character that they introduced was Zemo. I thought, again, he's only in one movie, which was Civil War, and he left such a great impact. We were like, oh man, I wanted more. And even on the behind the scenes, he was just he was wanting to do more. He's he got to play the character once, and he was glad to come back because, again, now you get these new layers. We got to see him as the Baron, jet flying, dancing guy here, and I just love what they did with him here, and I'm just curious to see what they do with him more. Him and Sharon Carter, and then we'll get to Val and U.S. Agent, to me are the most fascinating elements going forward. Not necessarily always in this series, because that's Sam and Bucky. Going forward, though, I'm more interested in Sharon and now Zemo, and like I said, we'll get to Val and U.S. Agent in a sec. But for me, Zemo is fascinating. Now that he's in the raft, who is he going to meet up with in there? Who's he going to team up with in there? Who else are they gonna stick in there? And eventually they're all gonna, they're gonna break out. Is it the Thunderbolts? Like, what is he gonna do? So Soul, I'll go to you first. What are your thoughts about Zemo in the series as a whole, and what do you think the possibilities are with him going forward in the MCU?
It's the start of the Thunderbolts because the person in charge of the raft is General Ross, and so we look at the comics. He's Thunderbolt Ross. He's Red Hulk, and so I don't know if they're gonna go the Red Hulk way with him, but it's definitely the setup for the Thunderbolts. There, I believe. U.S. Agent is going to be part of the Thunderbolts. Who knows who else they're going to bring in from different characters? Well, probably characters of old, characters new. They might bring in some stuff from an Incredible Hulk because, like, we've only seen General Ross from that. They haven't really brought in other stuff, but they might start bringing in. We might see Abomination like there. So who knows?
He's coming back. He's going to be in She-Hulk. Yeah. So he's coming back.
So who knows who's going to be part of this team? I'm just excited to see more Zemo. Like Daniel Bruhl, have him do more things. Because my fellow Hispanic, half Spanish, half German guy.
I just love his character and everything going forward with him is great. Bogz, your thoughts?
Yeah, great character. Pleasant surprise he was when he came in, and quite, I don't know, just quite dynamic in terms of his humor, really funny. Being the kind of middleman between Sam and Bucky in a way, and like whoever's kind of whatever opinion they had, he'd kind of throw in a kind of dark side opinion or more kind of bad intentioned opinion, and then on the other side he'd be on their side and he'd agree. So tell whoever kind of was listening what they need to hear sometimes, or what they didn't need to hear, to try and grapple them, get under their skin, because he's got his own schemes going on. So yeah, definitely, because they already were building their relationship. They weren't steady in terms of being friends, so he's just in there in the middle, mixing it all and getting under their skin and getting his alternate motives and stuff, so you couldn't really trust him. So really engaging. It fits directly so much in the MCU. So where can it go, what story, what kind of, who else are you going to link up with? Really exciting. What, I don't know what other series or movie it could be in, or which other storylines, but it's kind of, I think it will go from the raft and stuff, what other characters are in there, because we've seen it before. Obviously, it's a location where kind of other people meet, so we'll see. I mean, he seems to do whatever it takes to win sometimes, or to get his own way, so he needs to hopefully match up with someone who's also kind of at that level, so because he's quite evil, but it seems exciting, and eagerly anticipating his next entry.
Yeah, me too. I think he's going to be the new Loki. As they've taken Loki kind of off the board, and now he's kind of doing his own thing, like in this time variance land. I'm hoping that that Daniel Bruhl, Zemo, is going to be kind of that like anti-hero. I'm doing my own thing. Maybe I'll help you, maybe I won't, depending upon what things are aligning for me. But I hope he's always going to still be 10 steps ahead of them. Like he already knew as soon as Bucky came in the cell, he's like, yep, I know what you want. I already know what to do. So I hope he still kind of keeps that same vibe, even with the Thunderbolts. He may not be leading the Thunderbolts, or maybe he may. But I'm hoping that he still kind of keeps one step or two steps ahead of all the other characters. And he kind of still has that kind of slick, smooth, I'm above all of you, I really don't give a shit kind of attitude, because I love it. And speaking of the Thunderbolts, Val is the female Nick Fury. Interesting to see where she plays. So I'll combine her and John Walker, them together as U.S. Agent. They're probably right. So they're probably gonna be part of the Thunderbolts as well. So John Walker was very, very interesting in this, because he came across as this muck. Like you were like, especially at the end of the first episode, he had that smile on his face, like, you're not Captain America, get the fuck out of here. But as the show kind of went along, you kind of saw him like struggling with PTSD and his relationship with Lamar and his wife for a couple of small scenes. Seeing their dynamic was just very, very interesting. And I'm curious where they go with Walker, because are they going to make him like an anti-hero, or is he going to kind of go all the way back? One of the things that the show kind of fumbled was the fact that one episode he's trying to kill them, the next episode he's like, yeah, making quips. Which we kind of discussed, but Walker going forward is just fascinating to me. Either one of you guys have any thoughts on Walker and Valve teaming up, as it seems?
I think it's, like I said, it's going to be the Thunderbolts. I think John Walker, deep down, is a good person who's dealing with PTSD, and then, like, has been with the super soldier serum that brings, like they were saying, that brings more of the deepest parts of yourself. So it brought out that darkness that he had, that PTSD that he had from the stuff that gained him those Medal of Honors. So I think he's not a bad person. I think he's very much going to be an anti-hero, kind of similar to the Punisher, similar to a Frank Castle. So to me, I think, it's going to be the Thunderbolts. It's going to be those people who are on the right side but are willing to do the things that regular heroes, regular people with that moral stance are not going to be able to do. That's the Zemo, that's the U.S. agent, that's whoever else they get onto the Thunderbolts. So I'm just excited to see more of him. I think Wyatt Russell did a great job. I love the fact that both Wyatt Russell and his father have been part of the MCU. So let's just get the whole Russell clan in here to be a part of the MCU.
It's a family affair sometimes. Why not?
Yeah.
I also hope that they bring back that moment where he killed the Flag Smasher. Like, that was such a powerful moment that I hope it resurfaces in a way, like if we actually see some of the cell phone footage of it from like a different angle, like, so it lingers in not only in our minds but in his mind as well. Because obviously, looking back on it, is he proud of it? Like, I want to see like his. I don't think so either, but I just want to like see, as time goes on, how he looks back on it.
I think it's going to add to his PTSD.
Oh, absolutely.
It's going to be another thing added on top of it.
Absolutely. And I hope they don't shy away from that. Boggs, any thoughts?
Yeah, same kind of thing. So, is also, a couple of minutes before that, his best friend died in front of him in his arms. So, yeah, it's definitely going to come back. And I don't believe, superhero movies, you don't get away scot-free killing people like that. So you'll get your comeuppance. It'll be a certain time under certain circumstances, but he will have to answer for that, I believe. So other people have, killed like innocent people in the past. So, but it's been like special, like for example, Bucky, being an assassin, but because he was like under some kind of trance, that's his kind of get out clause. But this one was a bit more cut and dry. So, we'll see. I believe that he'll get his comeuppance, but I'm not totally sure. But yeah.
Yeah, because the government didn't give him any. Just give him a slap on the wrist and go about your business.
Well, I mean, they took away his pension. That's he should have ended up in jail, but they did.
Yes,
it wasn't exactly a slap on the wrist, because a slap on the wrist would have been like, we don't like what you did, and we're gonna give you a few months of probation, like a few months of without pay. But then we'll welcome you back in and everything will be okay. That's a slap on the wrist. They took away everything, and instead of putting him in jail, they took away his titles, they took away his pension, they took away all of those things. So that is not exactly a slap on the wrist. He deserved much worse than that, but it's not a slap on the wrist.
Well, I mean, but yes. You're right, it's not, but in the grand scheme of things, it was, because like as soon as that happened, Val came in and pretty much hired him, so he pretty much didn't pay any consequences really. So I do think that he needs to suffer something for him murdering somebody in cold blood. So I hope they don't. I hope they revisit it.
Well, I think we'll see that, because I think it'll be money problems in the same way. Like Sam is a hero. They talked about it in the first few episodes about the fact that like the way heroes are paid and that they really aren't paid, and it's really more out of the goodwill of people, and that's why Sam has money problems. So I think the fact that they took away his pension, that's his money right there. So that's probably going to affect him and his wife going forward. And I hope that they actually have us see that going forward, so that way there is lasting effects on what that hearing that he had happened.
Well, maybe that could be one of his motivating moves to go join the Thunderbolts. Because maybe he is having money issues. Maybe he's having image issues in the public because of the video. So that could be a driving force going forward. And then just to speak on the assembled thing, the behind the scenes thing, it was just very interesting to see how the show was made, how you can tell where COVID affected them. Like they were planning to go to Puerto Rico to shoot like the second
That was
half
because
of
of
the series.
earthquakes, not because of COVID.
Well, no, but you could but
Yeah.
also in the sense that like how you can tell it's like shot wise of like not a lot of people, and you could see where like obviously the first episode was way before COVID when they had that big group scenes. Is like before COVID. Since you can see when they're shooting after COVID, no, not so many big public scenes. So like there's a difference there. So but one thing that really stuck out to me from the assembled behind the scenes thing was the showrunner talking about the speech at the end. Their thought process was they didn't want it to come off as a speech where Sam was like in a hearing talking. He wanted to actually talk with people. So that's kind of why they staged it that way. And then he was saying that like Anthony Mackie and them were having conversations, long conversations about each line and kind of what it meant. And so they didn't just, they thought that out really well, but it still came across as a speech. Even though they were trying to not make it be a speech, it was still a speech. So it was just fascinating to hear them talk about like, oh, we didn't want it to come across as a speech, but then yet that's exactly the way it still came across. So not to speak ill will, because obviously the show still was very, very good, but that's the only thing that really stuck out to me watching that. And obviously the fight choreography and the use of CGI, where you didn't think it was CGI, but it was CGI. It just goes to show how much money and time and effort and care that Marvel and Disney are putting into these shows. So that's the only thing that I really took out of the show. Soul, anything else that stuck out to you specifically?
Mainly the fact that they were supposed to go to Puerto Rico, and most of the shooting is done in Atlanta, and so they make their sets in Atlanta match where they're going to go real life. So they were going to go to Prague, they're going to go to Puerto Rico, all of those things. So their sets in Atlanta were matching the places in Puerto Rico. They ended up not going there because there was an earthquake, and then they were like, okay, we think we're fine. The people at the top, they were like, hey, I'll go with you. So kind of just show like, I'm not just sending the staff and the actors, I'm going to go as well. So I'm putting my life at risk. Then a second earthquake hit. This was being here in Miami and like having family members who are Puerto Rican, like that time like was really devastating on the island. And so it made sense that Marvel was like, it's not safe to go to the island at the moment and do the shotting there. So it was kind of like the combination of like hearing it and then knowing the stories from a more personal level of that part. And so that's when they ended up going more to Prague. Then COVID hit. So it's just like you first get 2 earthquakes, so you can't go to the place you plan to go to. Then you end up finding a place that's going to work for the show and match the sets you've already made in Atlanta, and then COVID. So the fact of like all of this trouble that the production had, and you still end up with a really good show, that's kind of what I took away from watching the behind the scenes.
Yeah, it was just very interesting. Like I love behind the scenes stuff. That's one of the reasons why I buy Blu-rays. It's always interesting to see their thought process while they're making it. So that was really cool. The fact that they had to sneak Julie Louis-Dreyfus in like with a hood and stuff like that, so like no one would really know it was her. That was also really funny. But just I don't think there's anything else really left to say about the show, except for just like all 3 of us are really, really excited about the possibilities of what's coming. Obviously, we know Loki's the next series, and we're starting to see images of Hawkeye and images of Miss Marvel. So those are going to be great to see later this year, which will be fascinating. So we look forward to those. But overall, just love the show and looking forward to more. And obviously, we know Captain America 4 is coming. Is there going to be a season 2? They really haven't said, but I think maybe it seems more like the movie is going to take more precedent than the series is. I hope we get both, personally, but time will tell. But what do you guys think? Leave your thoughts in the comments. What was your favorite character or favorite moment in the series? What are you more excited about going forward? Is it Zemo? Is it Sharon Carter, Val, the power broker, U.S. agent Sam, or even Bucky? Just let us know in the comments. Also, like, subscribe, do all those great things you can look forward to. We're going to start reviewing the Bad Batch going forward, as well as Loki going forward as well. So you can look forward to those coming up on the channel. But until then, for Bogz, for Soul, take care, guys.